live, the Domestic Estate Manager Studios in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. It's the nation's #1 podcast series in the private service industry. It's time for DEMA Live. Now, here are your hosts, Matt and Mike. Hello and welcome back to another edition of DEMA Live. Fresh off the heels of the 2012 DEMA Convention, today we will be joined by one of our newest affiliate members, Chris Meyer of LimoLink. LimoLink represents DEMA's group's global transportation company. Since 1998, LimoLink has been managing ground transportation reservations worldwide. Hey Chris, thanks for being on the show today, and we're looking forward to learning a little bit more about LimoLink today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today and just in general to be a part of DEMA. You know, after attending a few different chapter meetings in the national convention, it really allowed me to grasp the benefits of what DEMA does. You guys bring the top service providers to the estate managers that need this sort of service the most. So it's an incredible benefit to everybody, and LimoLink feels very honored to be a part of that.
Great. Well, we appreciate having LimoLink, especially with the fact that you guys are a global service, and I think that will be a huge benefit in the future for all of our members once they learn a little bit more about LimoLink. Can you tell us a little bit more about why LimoLink exists and what's kind of your place in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose starting from the beginning is probably best. We started in 1998 by our CEO, Bill Barnes. The only thing he knew about chauffeur ground transportation in his previous life was what he did when he used it on a daily basis. He was in the investment banking industry, and what he found out is that one of his trips would be fantastic. The next trip wouldn't be. That inconsistency eventually kind of affected his business, and then a light went on for him, and he saw an opportunity to create a world-class service organization that catered towards elite business travelers. LimoLink was born. We got our start by kind of servicing the top jet charter and fractional companies in the private aviation sector. They chose LimoLink because we had the ability to extend the same level of service that they were providing on their jets to the ground transportation. So from start to finish, they were now able to give them high-end VIP level treatment. And unlike most companies in the industry, you know, LimoLink doesn't just focus on how many people we can get in our vehicles. We actually focus on each person that's in our vehicle and making sure that their experience is exceptional and remembered. When you're talking about, you know, some of the business that's being conducted by high-end corporate executives and high-net-worth individuals, the expectations are pretty high. And until LimoLink came along 14 years ago, there really wasn't a company that could meet those sort of expectations with any sort of consistency. So that's our place in the industry, is for high-end VIP level travelers.
Okay, so what's the quick benefit overview for our estate managers and our other members that might want to use LimoLink services?
Well, one of the biggest benefits, as you mentioned earlier, is we are a single source provider. We're global. We're in over 600 cities and 120 countries worldwide. And we have vehicles that range from sedans all the way through motor coaches. So we can do everything from simple airport transfers to multi-city road shows and some of the larger meetings and events that are necessary in corporate America as well. We've actually got the largest personally vetted fleet of chauffeurs and vehicles in the entire chauffeur ground industry, and we actually invest in some unique processes and resources that just aren't seen in our industry, and it allows us to operate at a higher level than our competition.
All right, so now you piqued my curiosity, Chris. What are some of the processes and resources that you guys implement that other companies out there might not possibly be doing right now?
Well, one of the biggest resources that we invest in that, to my knowledge, doesn't exist anywhere in the industry is actually our ground management team. This is a team of people, and they literally travel around the globe on one-way tickets. And what they're doing is they're personally sitting down face-to-face with the chauffeurs that we utilize, and they're conducting face-to-face interviews, checking their English levels, seeing their appearance firsthand, inspecting their vehicles, and we actually perform mystery rides with them as well. So we're testing them when they don't even know they're being tested. Because of the clientele we choose to serve and the level that we choose to operate, we just can't leave anything to chance. We can't trust anybody until they either meet or exceed our own expectations. And just so people know, the expectations that we have The vehicles themselves must be newer models. They must be absolutely immaculate inside and out. The chauffeurs are going to be in a dark pressed suit. The vehicles will be wiped down with no water spots, no fingerprints, no debris anywhere inside or outside the vehicle, and we stay pretty stringent to that process. So what that means to the people utilizing our services essentially is that you can be guaranteed you're going to get the highest class of chauffeur and the highest class of vehicle in every market that we serve.
All right. Well, that sounds kind of cost prohibitive. What, when it comes to the bottom line as far as the pricing that LimoLink has to offer, does that overall system really impact and make a difference between other pricing that's out there?
We're definitely not the least expensive company in the entire industry, and that's not the target that we try to be. We don't treat our service as a commodity. It's definitely a service that lends itself to a higher class of people. Now, with that being said, we're certainly not the most expensive company in the industry either. We try to price ourselves similarly with our competition that's available that attempts to do what we do, but what we do better than anybody else is bring the service level up to that cost to make the overall value more beneficial to our clients.
Cool. All right. Now that makes sense. I just wanted to clarify that and get it out there because I think that sometimes there's a misnomer out there about having all these processes in place and how it affects the bottom line. But in your guys' case, it's really probably has nothing to do with that. It's just the level of service that you guys are used to delivering to all the clients.
Exactly. We put our processes in place to create the service and the experience that our clientele need. The price kind of defines itself from that standpoint. However, what we found is that price, again, is still competitive with others that are attempting to do the same thing we do.
Okay, cool. Now, are there any other processes that you guys might do that would be a little bit different than your competitors?
Yeah, there's a couple more I can cover. One of them being our client services team. We feel that they not only provide some of the best customer service in our own industry, but we believe any sector of business in any industry that we'd be able to compete with those sort of customer service levels. I mean, a good analogy might be comparing the customer service at a Four Seasons hotel versus the customer service at a Motel 6. They're both within the same industry, but one experience is obviously going to be completely different than the other. First of all, when you call into LimoLink, you're actually going to get a live voice every single time you call in. We have no automated systems. You're not going to have to press options 1, 2, or 3. You're going to get a friendly voice to the person that you need to speak with and conduct your business. Not only do you get a live voice, but you get a live voice of a dedicated team. You're going to speak with the same people, whether you're calling in to book a reservation, change a reservation, or cancel a reservation. This makes the people booking the travel have a very streamlined, simple, accurate process to go through. You have somebody that's familiar with your account, familiar with your passengers. We build profiles for everybody that books and travels with us so we can get people on and off the phone quickly and accurately, which, of course, is going to save time. And as we all know in that industry, time is money. So that's another process we have that is not unique in the industry. Everyone has customer service, but it's certainly more thorough and a different experience from one to another.
All right, Chris, and then what's the final process that you mentioned?
The final process I'll cover today is actually our quality assurance process. And simply put, that's how LimoLink chooses to manage the reservations that we have. One thing LimoLink truly believes in is that there is a philosophical difference between simply taking a reservation and managing a reservation. There's literally thousands of companies out there that can take a reservation for you anywhere in the world. But what they're doing for you after that point, to be able to truly look you in the eye and tell you that they're doing everything they can to make sure the passenger has the best experience possible, in a moment of complete honesty, I think they'd probably have to say they're not doing much. But what LimoLink does is we manage the entire process, so we can say that we help ensure a great experience on every trip. We make 3 quality calls on every single reservation that we do. We're in contact with our chauffeurs 12 hours before a trip takes place to reconfirm all the details of the trip. The vehicle type, the pickup and drop locations, any special requests, all the way down to the spelling on the name board. We make another phone call 2 hours prior to the reservation taking place, and a final phone call 30 minutes before the trip takes place to make sure the chauffeur is on site, 100% ready to go and execute that reservation flawlessly. On private flights, we'll actually make a final call to the FBO to confirm that the chauffeur has checked in. Now, LimoLink does over 200,000 reservations yearly, so this means that we're doing a minimum of 600,000 quality calls that our competition just isn't doing. 600,000 calls that we use to check, double check, and triple check every reservation to ensure it goes smoothly. It's 600,000 chances for us to catch a mistake that our other competitors will not be catching. We're proactive in our approach to fix mistakes, not reactive, and it's a huge investment on our part, but it allows us to operate at the absolute lowest deviation rate in our entire industry at under 1.5%. There's no other company out there that I've ever heard of that even comes close to touching that number. So basically what all of our processes mean, if I was to put it in a nutshell, quite frankly we get this service right more than anybody else can.
All right, you've definitely got me sold. But with all the processes that you guys have implemented, let's get to the bottom line. What does that provide for the private service professional?
Well, like I said before, LimoLink is a single source provider. It allows the private service professional the ability to call one company and one number, no matter what type of vehicle is needed, no matter where the travel is happening. So they don't have any more guessing. They don't have to ask for referrals. They don't have to check references. They don't have to go by trial and error. I mean, there's hundreds of good companies out there, and there's thousands of bad ones, but there's no way to tell who's who. So when there's one elite company out there like LimoLink that truly understands the lives of our passengers and the people that assist those passengers, well, quite frankly, we can take an industry that's known for being cold and robotic, confusing, and quite frankly, somewhat unregulated, and we can give a private service professional some structure, make it simple, make it reliable, and make it consistent. But most of all, I would say LimoLink benefits we believe in building relationships, and we build those based on trust. Comfort and peace of mind are pretty rare in the life of a private service professional. So when a company like LimoLink comes along and we can actually deliver that, I think that's the greatest benefit that we provide.
That's awesome. I think that's a great opportunity that you're reaching out to all of our members, and I think that your commitment to the DEMA membership and coming to the convention and being able to start building those relationships, I think it only validates everything that you've spoken about today. So with that being said, so if our members want to get in touch with LimoLink, what's the best way for them to do that and get in touch with your guys' services?
Well, there's several ways to book transportation. The most common, quite frankly, is for people to call in, get that live voice of the dedicated team that I spoke of. The reason people choose to do that versus booking online typically is because we've made the process so simple, we've made it so personable, and it's just easier for people to answer and get questions, ask questions and get questions answered on a kind of a face-to-face conversation, if you will. The number to call actually to book via phone is 866-733-1403. That goes to the reservations team. You can also email in reservations to that exact same dedicated team, and that email is redteam@limolink.com.
Cool. And if anyone's got any other questions, how do they personally get in touch with you, Chris?
My direct line, it will ring to me, is 319-447-3636, and my personal email is Chris, CHRIS, Meyer, MEYER, @limolink.com.
Outstanding. Well, hey, Chris, I really appreciate everything that LimoLink has done. I appreciate everything that you've done. Your commitment to the organization is greatly appreciated, and it definitely shows the strides and steps that LimoLink takes to build valuable relationships in this industry. So I just wanted to thank you again personally and for taking the time today to share what LimoLink does. And I'd love to get together with you later on here in the future and talk a little bit about the convention and the takeaways that you had from that, if that would be all right with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to actually spending some time speaking about the association and that conference in general, because some of the people I met, some of the relationships that were built truly solidified for me our involvement with the association and what it means to not only us as a company, LimoLink, but to the private service professionals that need services like ours and resources like ours as well. So it's fantastic.
Well, that'll do it for another edition of DEMA Live. Once again, I've been your host, Matthew Hack, and I'd like to thank Chris Meyer of LimoLink for taking the time to help educate all of our members about the important services that LimoLink can deliver to you, the private service professional. Until next time, remember, a hidden connection is stronger than an obvious one.